Hi, everybody. It's Les McGehee with Rialto Academy. I'm so happy to be here with you today. I have the great pleasure of introducing you to one of my favorite mentors and thought leaders in the home sales industry, Mr. Emerick Peace.
Hey
Hey,
Les, how are you?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to chatting with you today. Thanks for pulling some time. You're in your office at your market center right now, aren't you?
Absolutely, yes, I am.
I believe let's learn a little bit about you to start off here, Emerick. Emerick Peace with about the best slogan ever, give peace a chance. That really works for me. And your market center is crushing it, isn't it? Are you number one in your area?
We're number one in our marketplace. Well, in a couple different areas. We're number one in the region of Keller Williams, and in our marketplace, we're number one in volume, we're number one in sales, we're number one in agent count, and we have the fewest number of days on the market in the MLS.
That is fantastic. Way to go, man. Crushing it. And I've known Emerick for a few years, and I've gotten used to him crushing it. Those of you that are familiar with my work will remember that I ran the certification for the one thing. And when I chose my very first batch of people that I really wanted on the ground floor of the one thing, Emerick was one of the very first people I reached out to, and that was a really good idea. I'm glad I did that. And to let you know what type of person he is, he grows himself and trains himself relatively constantly and expects the same from the ambitious people around him that he is helping. And that's reflected in the type of course that he's teaching too. Emerick, you expect people to grow themselves every day. How would you frame that?
Well, you have one of two choices, Les. Either you're growing or you're dying. Take your pick. Growth, change is inevitable. Growth is an option. So you pick where you want to go. And for me, I understand, particularly as a leader, the people around you grow to the level of where the leader grows. If the leader's not growing, you can't expect your people to grow. And if the people are not growing, your organization's not going to grow. And so either you're growing or you're standing still. Actually, you're either growing or going backwards, because there's no such thing as standing still. You believe you're standing still. Time is moving forward. So are you really standing still? No, you're moving backwards. And you just have to keep growing. That's it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. You and I have had a bunch of conversations about the path of mastery. And in our work, we talk about the path of mastery. And since I put things in dumb words myself pretty often to understand them better, I describe that as we're going to do things the best way we know how. And then we're going to review our experience for what we can learn and get better at. Then we're going to install that thing and go back and do that thing the best way we know how, over and over and over again. And if you look around in the world and in nature, you can find examples of things that are growing and things that are deteriorating. I don't see a whole lot of examples of things that just stay the way they were.
No, Les, I had that conversation with someone about real estate. And they said, what? I said, if you ever look at a house that no one lives in, it always starts to deteriorate and fall apart. Now, by the same token, there could be a house that people live in. They don't do maintenance. However, it does not deteriorate at the same level of a house that no one occupies. I can't put my finger on it. I don't understand it. However, you see it all the time.
Yeah, I know it's true. And the people ask me, Emerick, I'm in my home office this morning talking to you, and people always ask me, what's this spider-looking thing over my head? Our Rialto backdrop isn't set up today. And that's because we're in a 92-year-old home here. A 92-year-old home. If I didn't fix stuff, it would fall down around my ears. It's 92 years old, man.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And you know, in that same conversation, I think some people would bring up their comfort zone and staying out of their comfort zone. And I think when I hear that from clients once in a while, I think that they're thinking comfort zone means zero. I'm hanging out by the pool with a cocktail or something. They think comfort zone means doing nothing, which I wouldn't call comfort. I would call that maybe stasis or something like that, or recess, if you're lucky. And actually, recess is more exciting than comfort if you call it stasis, because I don't suppose you're comfortable with not growing. So what is the comfort zone? I'm not sure I can wrap my mind around. What do you make of that?
Well, I believe the comfort zone, well, if we're talking business, the comfort zone is the place where you accept status quo. When you accept status quo, you're in the comfort zone. Now, what actually happens when what growth happens in the comfort zone? Little to none. The growth really doesn't happen until you put a little pressure on it and you get uncomfortable. And that's when the magic happens. So if you can find a way to get comfortable being uncomfortable, then you can grow. If you're comfortable and you're comfortable, you're going to have issues.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, I've heard some long distance runners talk about resting while running, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I'm comfortable with growth.
Right.
Well, Emerick, I want to ask you about a couple things in particular while I've got you is, so you have developed quite a community and you continue to develop quite a community around you. And I know that you have more clarity of mission than a lot of the thought leaders that we have had the pleasure of working with over here at Rialto Academy. And the most recent course that we developed for you, why don't we check on that and you tell us a couple things about that. What's the title of that new course, Emerick?
12 Steps to a $20 million Business. And the beautiful part about that, Les, is that it's growing to a place where I'm going to actually change the name to 12 steps to $1 million plus business. And the reason being is that in business is business. And so the course was originally written for the real estate business. Well, when I look at it, there are really only 3 steps that involve real estate specific. And those 3 steps can still be interchangeable with any other business. The other 9 steps are just business concepts, period. And business is business. It doesn't matter whether it's real estate business, sales business, coffee business, widget business. Business is business. You have to come to business prepared as a person before you can thrive in your business. And that's what 12 Steps is really about.
Yeah, well put. You and I have had some great conversations about a concept that we refer to as the unified curriculum. Yes. Once we understand that entrepreneurial education and that it's really only changing in very minor ways, a little bit of vocabulary here and there. Other than that, man, business is old as time, and we can look back. And I agree with you. Growing a realtor business, I use pretty much the same concepts that I use when growing a mortgage business or an inspection business. I would put our doctors and dentists in that same category. We grew some big dentist businesses, and we weren't using different techniques, just slightly different vocabulary.
Right. Yeah. And you know, clients are clients and customers are customers. At the end of the day, we all, and I've heard Gary Kell say this, we're in the lead generation business. When you're in business, you're in the what? You're not really in whatever business, you're in the lead generation business. Because you're always looking for a new client, a new customer, someone else to take your product. And that's what we require because we're in what? Business.
That's right. You know, one of my favorite things I heard you say once was that we're all in therapy.
Oh, shoot. That is my saying. I say it all the time. I was teaching, I was in a workshop yesterday. I did the 12 Steps workshop yesterday. It was phenomenal. And I had to keep having that conversation. Yes, I am conducting this session. What I want you to understand that while I'm in this session and you're in this session, we're all in therapy because I learn and I grow while I'm here. And don't think that, you know, if you open my closet, some bones and skeletons won't fall out. That's just not true. We're all in therapy.
Yeah, today we're focused on business therapy. Yeah, we're all in therapy.
Either you're growing or you're dying, Les. Take your pick.
Yeah, nicely put, Emerick. You're a really great influence that way, and I appreciate that I get to know you and that we get to work with you on this. So currently 12 steps to 20 million. You've got it going out a few times this spring already, and I know we're going to do we're going to sponsor a broadcast of it with you. Yet you're also going to some big events, aren't you?
Yes. So a couple of my big event that I'm going to, and it's a conversation, is I'm going to, and I'm not speaking on 12 steps. However, it helps me create the content. It helps me create that synergy around what I do in a learning environment. I'm going to a Club Wealth event in San Antonio. And what I actually do when I go to these large events is I sit in the room. I never sit in the front of the room. I sit middle to the back of the room, because if I'm sitting in the front of the room, I can't observe the room. And so I sit middle to the back. I observe people's mannerism, where they are, and then it allows me to have dialogue with more people, because I have 360-degree dialogue. And the whole conversation is, for me, in events like that, is, how do I engage and what conversations can I have with other leaders to help them grow a different way? And the other event that I'm attending is a National Minority Mortgage Bankers Association. And people say, well, why would you go there? You're a real estate guy. Because business is business is business. Either you're growing or you're dying. And what's their perspective on what they do, and how does it enter into what I do, and that whole conversation about developing yourself as a whole person and learning. There's something for me to learn in that space.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think we can all learn from your technique with that. I've seen you do that. I've seen you be an observer and get in the middle and feel the energy and see what you learn. And also, I think that we agree on growing this industry. It's the home sales industry. We're putting people in homes and transferring ownership of homes. And so the mortgage guys, they're in the same industry that we are. So are the inspection and title guys and the warranty guys, and maybe some of the builders. And so growing this industry and making the most of this industry for agents would include having a really healthy mortgage system, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and it does. Well, here's the thing, Les. Particularly, let's just use the real estate service industry. We're all inexplicably tied to one another. If the agent doesn't sell a house, the mortgage company doesn't make a loan. If the agent doesn't sell a house, then there's no home inspection. If the agent doesn't sell a house, there's no insurance to buy. And so all of us being in that professional realm, we have to find a way to come together, coalesce on different things and pertaining to business, and figure out how to break down the barriers between what we do and the misunderstanding or myth understanding surrounding our businesses. Because at the end of the day, we're all inexplicably tied, and we have to find a way to work together in that space and help each other grow. Because if I don't deal with you today, you may be on the loan for my next deal tomorrow. You may be the home inspector tomorrow. You may be the insurance company tomorrow. I can't tell you. So the best thing I can do is to help you grow to be the best person that you can be, so that when our businesses meet, we're meeting at a higher level.
Oh, that is really well put. And you touched on one of my favorite quotes that I put in my first book, and I'm keeping for the second edition of Plays Well with Others, my book that you're familiar with. Is a Martin Luther King quote that I really like, and it's the top of one of my chapters. He says, all of us are caught in an inescapable web of mutuality.
Right.
Mutuality, he calls it. It sounds like what you're describing, and it's certainly true in the home sales industry.
And that, I believe that sometimes in that whole conversation with mutuality, everybody believes that everything is equal. It's not equal. We just have a mutual interest in one particular item, topic, or person, and we all play our part to some degree. And the truth be told, in that mutuality, if you take any one of those parts away, the process fails.
That's right. And we have an industry here to grow. We have people to help, people, biggest transactions of their lives. I love hearing you talk about that, Emerick. I really appreciate it. You mentioned creating content. And so you created the content. It's interesting how this goes when a thought leader has a batch of powerful content that they've worked out. So you created that content, yet you needed Ally to build out that content for you in a presentable manner. And that's where we got to get involved. And I'm very grateful we get to work with you. Yeah, what's that process like? Because it's your creation, you put it together, and then you navigate working with a designer. What was that process like?
Well, here's the deal, Les. I had my course, and people love my course. Well, people love my course, and they love the content of the course. The true matter was that I had to really pull it all together and make a logical sense to anyone. Sometimes people just love the idea of getting new information. The real conversation comes to how do they implement it. And so many people go to courses and they love the course and it's great content. The real conversation is how do you practically apply it? If the course is not structured in a logical thought process, from a logical thought process perspective, then people go to your course and they get great information. However, there's no logical way of implementing that. And so they just come out with a great course and they get a couple of nuggets and the light bulb never really goes off. What happened with me is that when Rialto created that course, it's two things that happened. It gave a course where there was a logical thought process from an instructional design perspective that allowed the learner, the listener, the attendee to be able to process the information better so that they could practically apply the information to their life in a better way, which ultimately took my course over the edge. Now, the other part to that was the fact that the look and the feel of the information, just the look and the feel from a visual perspective changed the whole dynamic of who people received me as a presenter, because before they would even see me, they would get the workbook before class. They start flipping the pages. They look at the way that the content is laid out on the page. And now they're saying, wow, I'm excited about this before I even step in the room. Now, when I step in the room and I bring the material to life, and I bring the material to life in a logical thought process, because the course was created with professional and instructional design, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I believe it. And we really appreciate that opportunity. You know, I have the course right here. You mind if we take a look at just a couple of pages?
Let's go.
So I have here a couple of pages from the 12-step course you can take a glance at. So here you are, 12 Steps, 20 Million with Emerick Peace. And I'd like to show you an example. This is how the workbook looks. Yeah, I'll show you an example of a really nice piece of work. So Emerick, he created this content and he organized it. And then the designers come in and they go, well, what can that look like as a model that makes it really logical and trackable for the student to have a smooth experience coming along for the ride with you. And so you can see here what our designer, Jonathan Murby, perhaps the best instructional designer, certainly in our industry, is my partner in Rialto Academy. And he also was a leader with Emerick on this course. So what they would do is they would take Emerick's content, his very logical presentation that was already powerful, and put it in the basis of a model so that people can track through the model sequentially like this, as you see. And it gives them, just like you would give your clients with the language of influence and the language of business, looking out there for their fiduciary interests, it gives them a way to go along with you and accept this learning at a high level in a way that adds up for maximum effect. You agree with that, Emerick?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one of the things one of the big items for me was that me being a visual person, that the content be structured in such a way that it draws in the visual learner to actually consider reading and listening.
Isn't that the trick? And the also interactive, as you can see. We're not into passive learning. We want to keep engagement high and practical. And so so by all means, look, they get their action plan. They have call and response. And they're going to leave with actionable plans.
But the beautiful part, if you really want to be technical about this course, Les, in the 12 steps, they're already at about 20 exercises, which I can appreciate myself, because I have been known to fall asleep in the course or two, which you've seen me.
Yeah.
And that physical, that engagement, the exercises keeps the adult ADD down. And number two, it also provides an avenue for people to really walk out of the room with a changed life, things that they can practically apply at lunchtime, literally. Not when they leave the room, they can apply it at lunch. And that's the beautiful part about the way that Rialto created that course for me. And it's just exciting. It's just exciting.
We're excited about it, and we're excited about your consistency of mission and your success rate. And it's an honor to be involved in your project, Emerick. Well, y'all, here comes Emerick's course, going to be broadcast by Rialto. You'll get a message from us about it, and we'll make sure that you know what's going on. Also, Emerick probably be presenting at your favorite event in your area, and we'll help to announce that. You can also find Emerick on social media and on the web. He's not hiding. He's easy to find. Emerick Peace, the Peace team. And you can see what's going on there. They are really crushing it, and it's a great role model to follow. And Emerick is one of the best people for communicating that to other people so that they can make positive choices and grow themselves. So it's a Rialto recommend for sure. We would really like to see you be influenced by this content. Right. Emerick, we really appreciate you taking some time with us and talking us through that, man.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
All right. Best to you, and I'll see you soon. Thank all of you. We'll see you. If you'd like to reach Emerick through me, don't forget I'm Les at rialtoacademy.com. That's Les with one S at rialtoacademy.com, and I'm happy to connect you to Emerick or reach out to him yourself. He is findable. All right. Thank you.